Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and I cannot believe I'm actually saying this, but we have won. It's over, at least for right now. Skill-based matchmaking is officially gone from Black Ops 7, as they have confirmed that the game will have classic matchmaking and non-disbanding lobbies right from the very beginning of launch, man. If Blame Truth is always cracking Blame Wisers, I'm gonna crack a Mountain Dew here or something like that. I'm not a big coffee person. I like a little caffeine to get me going, and this is a big video, man. We have a lot to cover here today, because while most of the community are enjoying this announcement for the victory that it is, there's a lot of people out there who are being incredibly negative and critical of this change, and frankly, I don't blame them one bit. I can't even be all that upset with people calling this a bad thing, or maybe saying that the open game modes during the beta still felt like they had skill-based matchmaking, because every single one of us, from the top down, have been conditioned for years to believe that we're better than we are, or worse than we actually are. The entire point of skill-based matchmaking was to always push everybody's KD towards 1, whether it was boosting players up by keeping them in protected brackets, or holding players back by keeping them in the sweat mines. Every aspect of Call of Duty from the top down has been a warped and manipulated experience. We have been guinea pigs all these years for Activision and their sick little experiments, and I want to make it clear right here from the very beginning of the video, I am not praising Activision. I am not thanking Activision. I will not be bending the knee and saying, oh my goodness, thank you, Mr. Activision, so much, sir. You're finally taking mercy on us. Because fuck all that, dude. They knew how bad the system was for years. They knew our feedback for years, but they simply did not care. The only reason why these changes are happening is because it's their only chance at competing with Battlefield 6 and them actually selling some copies this year. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at their official statement, break it down, and gauge the reaction from the community. So here's the official Call of Duty blog post. I'll put a link to it down there in the description if you guys want to go through it for yourselves. And in the matchmaking section, it says, we know the big question on everyone's minds coming out of the beta is how will matchmaking work in Black Ops 7? At launch, open matchmaking with minimal, right there, minimal skill consideration will be the default for Black Ops 7 multiplayer. Simply put, imagine the matchmaking experience of the open mosh pit from the beta, but as the standard in Black Ops 7 on day one. Now here's the real bullshit. Our team feels strongly about providing players with a more varied experience, and the beta proved to be a great opportunity to test this approach. We'll be sharing more details as we get closer to launch. So they now suddenly feel strongly about providing us with a more varied experience. Like that was the whole entire selling point of X-Defiant, yet Call of Duty didn't give a shit back then. It's been over 6 years of us saying the same thing, but now suddenly they feel the need to act on all of our feedback. Make no mistake here, guys. This is only happening because of Battlefield 6 and record low interest in Call of Duty. It was basically this perfect storm of Black Ops 6 coming out and it flopping at a historic rate. Of course, we covered that throughout the entirety of this past year. And then, of course, we had really low pre-orders for Black Ops 7 and insane hype for Battlefield 6. That is why all this happened. It's not because they care about us or they care about our experience or anything like that. Maybe some of the devs do, but Activision, they certainly do not. They are only doing this because we finally hit their bottom line. Now, next up here in the blog post, we read, we've heard the community discussion and dialogue around lobby disbanding, and as we've mentioned earlier during the beta, we're focused on keeping players together from match to match more often. Today, we're excited to announce that we'll have persistent lobbies at launch for Black Ops 7. We're committed to improving this experience for players, and we'll be sharing more details soon. And again, same thing with the matchmaking, guys. We've been telling them about disbanding lobbies forever, but they couldn't give us persistent lobbies whatsoever because of skill-based matchmaking. Now skill-based matchmaking's gone, suddenly persistent lobbies are available again because that's how the system works. And they also say in the blog post there that they will be making some changes to controller aim assist, specifically rotational aim assist, and will let us know more about that closer to launch. So it seems like aim assist as a whole is going to be getting nerfed. So basically the takeaway from all this is skill-based matchmaking is gone, disbanding lobbies are gone, and aim assist will be nerfed. So I suppose actual player skill will be paramount and the game won't be doing a lot of the aiming for you. Everything about this, ladies and gentlemen, is a positive. Again, I'm not thanking Activision here. This is shit they should have done 6 years ago. They literally took all this away to us so they could give it back to us eventually, but this is quite literally the biggest change in Call of Duty history ever since they first added strict skill-based matchmaking back in Modern Warfare 2019. But of course, there's still a lot of backlash coming from the community, so I want to cover that here in this video. So the biggest thing going around right now is the wording that they used in the blog post and even during the Black Ops 7 beta. Minimally considered. I keep hearing people talking about that. It's not no skill-based matchmaking, it's reduced skill-based matchmaking. It says right there, it's minimally considered. And it's that phrase that they used, which leads a lot of fans to believe that skill-based matchmaking is alive and well. It's just not as strict as it used to be. Now, while that is certainly one way of looking at it, and I would not trust Activision at their word, what we saw in the beta was absolutely classic matchmaking, at least in my own personal experience, right? You guys might remember, relatively recently, a couple months ago, something like that, they added Call of Duty World War II back to Game Pass, right? So I spent like 2 straight months only playing COD World War II because it was so much fun. I wasn't going to play Black Ops 6. Black Ops 6 is terrible. The matchmaking is the main reason, right? It's not fun to play, but Call of Duty World War II, even at that super low field of view, was a blast to play. You got to play on the iconic maps. All the guns were there. The headquarters was there. The daily challenges, the orders from Major Howard. It was such a fun experience. And what I played during Call of Duty World War II was basically the same as what I played in the Black Ops 7 beta. And what I mean by that is, when I played that game, World War II, there would be amazing players, there would be terrible players, and mostly there would be average players, and that was the experience that I saw in the Black Ops 7 beta. Some matches, I got absolutely fried, I got destroyed, but most matches, I did pretty well, and occasionally I would wreck the entire lobby just by myself. I called in every kill streak that the game had to offer. Well, besides the nuke, I didn't get one of those, but I was usually number 1 in the lobby, probably 95% of the time, and it genuinely felt like old Call of Duty matchmaking. What a lot of people tend to forget, and I don't blame them whatsoever, because it's been years of this bullshit that Activision's been pulling on us, but I feel like a lot of people forget what Call of Duty used to feel like. You know, they see something like skill being minimally considered in Black Ops 7, and they assume it's the exact same thing as before, but with a new name, because they are instantly destroying every lobby that they enter. It was clear as day, for me personally, that the matchmaking was much different during the beta, but don't just take my word for it. You can even see it's evident in the gameplay that you've been watching. The people I'm playing, for the most part, are not all cracked out of their minds. It was night and day different compared to even a game like Black Ops 6. I can pull up some Black Ops 6 footage. I would only play that game whenever a new season would come out, just do a quick review video, you know, and every time I signed in, I was facing iridescent players with like 40,000 kills with only the Jackal. That experience was much different than the experience I had in the beta, but of course, there still will be protected brackets for new players, and probably the bottom 5% or so, but that's always how Call of Duty has been. When you hear that skill is being minimally considered, that's how it used to be in every old Call of Duty game. People forget that, man. Like, did you guys never make a new account in Call of Duty 4, or maybe even Black Ops 2? I have some screenshots here. You guys can check these out for yourselves, but here's some old Road to Commander series that were posted to YouTube. This guy started playing COD 4 ages after the launch of the game on a new account, and his lobby had 3 non-prestiges and 4 first prestiges in it. The same thing was true of this guy right here. There were 2 10th prestiges in his lobby, but it's mostly non-prestiges and new players. Even in Black Ops 2, this guy posted his Road to Commander, and mind you, it was halfway through the game's life cycle, maybe 6 or 7 months into the Black Ops 2 life cycle. He makes a new account, he goes in for his Road to Commander during the peak of the game's life cycle. If you guys remember, that's back when like Black Ops 2 had like 500,000 concurrent players on every platform all the time, and in his lobby, he's playing against level 30 split screeners and 3 other non-prestiges as well. There's always been a protected bracket in Call of Duty. Skill has always been a very tiny factor within COD's matchmaking as far back as Call of Duty 4. The only difference now is they expanded all of that in Modern Warfare 2019. What we call skill-based matchmaking saw Activision split the community into 10 separate brackets, and once you were assigned to one, well, congratulations, that is now reality for you. You live there. You get the same matches, the same people, the same playstyle, no matter what. Nobody improved, nobody got better. The randomness of human nature and user input would be the only variety that you would see within your lobbies, except the tuning of the matchmaking algorithm was so tight that even those factors would barely change your overall experience. I do want to do some testing on these protected brackets. I figure I'll bring back the Father of 4 account for the launch of Black Ops 7 and kind of see what's going on with that. There will be a protected bracket, I'm sure of it, the same way old Call of Duty games had. I mean, I just showed you those COD 4 Road to Commander screenshots, but we also have this right here. So back in the day, we used to make new accounts all the time. We would get like free Xbox cards and things like that with the games that we bought. COD 4 obviously had those protected brackets for new players. The same thing was true of World at War, same thing true of MW2, and I even did this on a new account in Black Ops 1 back in the day, like way back in the day, and I had like a 4.5 KD when I finally hit Commander, and my top guns were the Akimbo Scorpions and the Olympia, man. Like, this system has always been in place in the older games, so to say it's in Black Ops 7 and call that skill-based matchmaking, I personally don't believe is a fair comparison. To harp on the idea of it's being minimally considered, therefore it's still skill-based matchmaking, is not really a good take. I understand that nobody wants to trust Activision. I don't either, but the point I'm trying to make here is literally every Call of Duty game has skill as a factor in their matchmaking. If it truly is minimal, which I suppose we will see at launch, it will be exactly like the old days for most people, and for me personally, that's how it felt during the Black Ops 7 beta, despite the fact that I was rusty as hell. I have barely played COD at all in the past 11 months, and to call the new system skill-based matchmaking when skill is no longer the main factor, in my mind, is just really silly. I mean, we have near instant queue times, we have great connection most of the time, we have persistent lobbies that do not disband. That is not skill-based matchmaking, guys. That is Call of Duty the way it used to be and the way it always should have stayed. Now, one very important aspect of this update I don't see a lot of people talking about right now, basically everybody's patting themselves on the back being like, congratulations, we did it, which I agree with those people. Be happy, this is finally happening. But there's always going to be the possibility of a backtrack. They say that the matchmaking changes and the persistent lobbies will be default at launch, but they did not guarantee that things would stay that way. Activision claims they've been running tests for years on matchmaking, and they always ended up defending and backing up skill-based matchmaking. They always said it was great. They believed in it for over half a decade, so there is no doubt in my mind that the higher-ups at Activision still believe that the system is what's best for business. They are really that stupid. They're that stubborn, but this time around, they were left with no choice, thanks to us, thanks to all of us here, thanks to the community, and thanks especially to Battlefield 6. It could be argued that this is just one giant sales tactic to get people's foot in the door, since so many people otherwise would not be buying Black Ops 7. That was evident by the pre-order numbers. So maybe the idea here is they get their sales, they get their pre-orders, they get their big launch numbers, and then they pull the rug out from the entire community during season 1 or maybe season 2 so they can optimize our engagement and really drive up those microtransactions. That is definitely a possibility, and I really want to hammer this home. Nothing is set in stone yet. We have the launch changes for sure, that's certainly coming, but we have no idea what Activision has planned for the future of Black Ops 7 or the future of the Call of Duty franchise as a whole. We are living right now in unprecedented times, and while I just want to enjoy the victory that we've worked towards for the past 6 years, there is still the always ever looming threat of Activision being Activision. Now, on top of that, and I do feel like this is going to ruffle some feathers here, and I'm not trying to call anybody out or anything like that. This is just genuinely what I believe, but I think a lot of anger towards this change, like the people that are not happy about this whatsoever, I feel like that's coming from a place that a lot of people really don't want to talk about. I feel like for a lot of people anyway, they just don't like Call of Duty anymore. Whether it's the changes they made over the years to create a class or loadouts or leveling, the game modes, the speed and the pace of the game, the Warzone integration and how Warzone factors are in multiplayer and zombies now, or maybe even just the general community now being a lot sweatier than they were 10 years ago, Call of Duty nowadays is nothing like it was back during the golden era that we all grew up with and that we all love so much. Skill-based matchmaking was always this boogeyman that we could point towards as the source of our disdain, except this boogeyman was actually real. And with him now gone, at least for the launch of the game anyway, all that's left is the core game. And I feel like for a lot of people, Call of Duty is just not the same game that they fell in love with all those years ago. Instead of addressing and acknowledging the overall changes to the series and how it's evolved over time, I feel like a lot of people instead just say the game is no fun because of the matchmaking. They're not really talking about anything else besides the matchmaking. And now that's essentially being fixed, people still may not like the game, and that is perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with being an old school COD fan and seeing wall jumping and butt sliding and not finding that fun. For years now, I've had people saying that I just hate Call of Duty and I'm terrible at Call of Duty, and well, here we are. I still love Call of Duty just like I always said I have, and I'm still good at Call of Duty like I've always been. I just didn't enjoy the direction that the franchise was going in and how Activision was warping and twisting everything about the entirety of the game's multiplayer. Now, just because they're changing matchmaking does not mean instantly the Black Ops 7 is going to be a great game. For me personally, I really hate the wall jump. I feel like it's more of a gimmick than anything. I feel like dexterity needs to be cooked into everybody's character and just be baseline. I think the maps, while they did grow on me during the beta, are mediocre at best in terms of how they play with the spawn system and the random chaos that the movement brings, let alone the fact that these maps weren't actually 3-lane. They didn't really feel as traditional 3-lane as what they described in all their marketing material. But that all being said, however, the core game of Black Ops 7 still felt fine to me, especially because for the first time in 6 years, the shackles essentially felt like they were taken off of me, and I'm sure the same thing is true for many of you guys out there as well. You know Call of Duty must be doing something right when the Godfather himself was enjoying the Black Ops 7 beta. I think that tells you pretty much everything you need to know, but if Black Ops 7 is not for you, that is perfectly fine. It's okay not to like the game, but in my opinion, I see a lot of people disliking the game for what I would consider to be almost the wrong reasons. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I feel like these changes today are all positive. They're only good, yet there is still quite a lot of negativity going through the community. So to wrap up this video here today, guys, I want to say this. If you're skeptical about these changes, do not bother pre-ordering. Do not buy the game, because honestly, that's what Activision wants. What they want right now is a knee-jerk reaction that starts trending worldwide and gets people buying up Call of Duty like it's the good old days, right? My recommendation is, if you're skeptical, wait. For me personally, I'm still not buying the game. I have Game Pass. They renewed like a couple of days right before the price increase, so I'll be able to have the game from that. I will play Black Ops 7. I will review it. I will test it out on my main account and my Father of 4 account, and from there, we'll get a much better feel for what the matchmaking is actually going to be like. I want to make it crystal clear that none of us should trust Activision at face level. We should only trust what we see, what we feel, and what we experience. And for me personally, and maybe I'm the outlier here, I don't know, I'm curious to hear what you guys think, but the beta itself felt great from a matchmaking matchmaking perspective. It was honestly mind-blowing at times. Like, I would watch some of these people that were matched up with me and be like, holy shit, I forgot players like this even existed. Like, I'm going to scratch out his name here. There's no sense in putting the guy on blast, but look at this dude's aim. And after all of that, after missing all of those shots, he had the gall in voice chat to say that the other guy had a better gun than him. It was insane, man. I wish I had game chat recorded, but for some reason, like, using NVIDIA Shadowplay to record doesn't record voice chat, but it records game audio. I don't know how that works, but back to my point, if you have played Call of Duty for any reasonable amount of time recently, whether it be Black Ops 6 or maybe Modern Warfare 3 or whatever, I'm sure you felt a massive difference in your matches during the Black Ops 7 beta. If you didn't feel a difference, well, I don't really want to be that guy, but maybe you were the one who was benefiting from the matchmaking system the entire time, and you just didn't know it. And I'm not blaming those people whatsoever, by the way. I'm not trying to call them out. That's bullshit. It's literally not their fault. It's fucking Activision's fault for twisting, manipulating, and gaslighting everybody for the past 6 years. Think about that, dude. 6 years. It's like almost as much time to become a doctor, for crying out loud. Well, not really a doctor, but that's like all of high school and like half of college for a lot of people, right? That's honestly really freaking crazy if you think about it. So one thing is for sure, it's going to be incredibly interesting to see how the community continues to respond to this. And oh yeah, there's that game. What's the name of that thing? There's that game that's coming out soon. Oh, Battlefield 6. Yeah, the biggest game in recent history. The game that everybody is stoked about. The game that made Call of Duty actually get their shit together. I'm not thanking Activision. I'm going to thank Vince Zampella. He was the reason. He was the catalyst behind all of this. That game comes out in less than 24 hours. We literally have a situation here, ladies and gentlemen, where Call of Duty and Battlefield are launching around the same time, and neither of them will have skill-based matchmaking. What a time to be an FPS fan. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for me here in this video here today. I am very curious to hear what you guys think about all of this down there in the comment section, so be sure to let me know. I hope you all enjoyed this video here today. Be sure to sub to the channel if you guys haven't already. Thank you all so much for listening, and until tomorrow, until the launch of Battlefield 6, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.